Okay. On page, we got to yesterday, Perik Lamed Beis, Pasuk, around Pasuk Daled. We started the golden calf. And somebody asked yesterday, why were the rest of the people guilty if it was only a handful of people, the Erev Rav who did it, who were involved in the Erev Rav were involved in the golden calf. The people didn't protest. And there's when you don't protest, you may not be as guilty as the person who's doing something, but you do have an obligation. A Jew has an obligation to protest. Okay, there are limitations. You only protest if you have the authority to do something about it. If you can't do something about it. I was just on the plane, and I was talking. There was this Israeli guy sitting on the plane next to me. We're flying to when we left Israel, flying to Zurich. And a really nice guy. He's a businessman, a kind of upper class guy, a businessman living somewhere in Spain. And we're schmoozing, and believe it or not, we didn't talk about religion. We were talking more about politics and about just money, and his stuff was very nice, a very nice conversation. And at a certain point, they started serving the meal. And I have my special kosher meal. It's neither special nor kosher nor a meal, but they call it his special kosher meal. It was actually pretty good in business. It's pretty good, but so they bring my special kosher meal, and this guy before they even brought it for me, they served right out of the kitchen, and they gave him this food, which is as treif as treif could be, and then he just kind of looks at me, and goes, I hope this doesn't bother you. And he got me. I didn't know how to react to that. I didn't know how to respond to that. I just went like, "Well, this is your business. It's not my business." And I'm thinking, should I look? What am I going to do? Tell the guy, listen, you shouldn't eat treif because he's not going to listen to me anyway. And I really didn't know what to say. I probably should have said something like, "Listen, it's between you and him, not me. It's got nothing to do with me." That's what I probably should have said. All I said was, "Listen, it's got nothing to do with me," which is kind of maybe a bit wimpy. I think I wimped a little bit on it, but probably should. But I didn't. Sometimes you got to know that. Was he asking me permission? He wasn't asking me permission. He was going to eat it anyway. So what are we going to do? Create conflict? I really didn't know what that hasn't happened. Being like never, So on a plane where they're just ordering straight out treif. But so you have to know if they're going to listen to you or not. So apparently, the rest of the Jewish people they could have protested, and therefore it is considered It is considered there is some flaw in not protesting, and therefore they're also accountable for it. Now take a look. We said yesterday how the people wanted a replacement for Moshe Rabbeinu. Now take a look at Pasuk. Pick it up, Pasuk Zayin. Vaydaber Hashem, page 494, 2 lines to the bottom. What do you call it going? Binyamin, is that running? Is the thing on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe, lech raid, go down. Ki shiches amcha asher otzeisem eretz Yisrael. The people who you took from Mitzrayim, they have gone off. Saru maher min aderech asher tzivisim. They strayed quickly. Asulem egel masecha. They've made this calf. Vayishtachavu lo, vayizbechu lo, vayomer lo elo elach Yisrael asher luchem eretz Yisrael. So the Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, look, the people have gone off. And then Vayomer Hashem al Moshe re'isi esa am hazevi ne'am kshe orefu. They are a stiff-necked people. Now, a stiff-necked people cuts both ways. Where are they being stiff-necked over here? Stiff-necked is where you're obstinate and you refuse to recognize you were just shown at Har Sinai that there's one God, and you heard God's voice and you experienced it, and you still refuse to understand that, and you're still going to go and get involved in idol worship. There's a certain obstinacy there that you're maintaining this behavior when you know clearly that you really shouldn't be doing it. So there's a certain obstinacy there. Now, On the other hand, there is a certain the positive use of being obstinate. If you say somebody is stubborn, what's the implication of stubborn? Positive or negative? Negative. What if you say somebody's principled? Positive. No, being principled and being stubborn are it's a very fine line. When are you principled and when are you stubborn? So it's like this jury, the jury of 12 people. There were 11 men and one woman, and the 11 men felt one way and the woman felt the other way. And the woman said to them, "If you guys wouldn't be so stubborn, we could all be we could all be going home now." So if you understand where is stubborn and where's obstinate, where's principled, Jewish people are stubborn. We are stubborn in a positive way, because sometimes we're under pressure to compromise our values and we won't do it. There Jews have given up their lives rather than embrace, rather than bow down to idols. So that also takes a certain amount of stiff-neckedness. We could be. That's in the positive. Here, it's in the negative. Okay. Then Moshe Rabbeinu starts turning down. Now skip down to Pasuk 15 at the bottom, 3 lines from the bottom. Vayifen vayered Moshe mitahar. Moshe turns and goes down from the mountain. Ushnei luchos ha'edus biyado. He's got the 2 tablets of stone. Luchos ksuvim mishnei evreim. They're written in both directions. You read it from any angle. Mizeh umizeh heim ksuvim, which some of the commentators say it refers to the revealed Torah and refers to the hidden Torah. But it can be read from both directions. Ve'aluchos ma'aseh Elokim hema. The tablets were made by God. Ve'amichtav michtav Elokim hu. And the writing is the writing of God. Chorus al haluchos. Chorus means that it is carved, engraved on the luchos. And the Gemara says, don't read it as chorus. That means that sometimes the Gemara, the word in the Torah, remember the word in the Torah does not have vowelizations. So it can be read, we have a tradition that it's read as, according to the way we read it, as chorus. But if the vowels aren't there, you could also read it as cherus. And cherus means what? Freedom. So the Gemara says, don't read it as chorus, read it as cherus, freedom. There is no one who is free except somebody who is involved in learning Torah. Al tikra chorus ela cherus. Ein lecha ben chorin ela misha osek b'Torah. The only truly free person is the person who's involved in Torah study. What does that mean? Why are you free? Free from what? What are you free from if you're involved in, what's the freedom of learning Torah? No?
That's like desires?
Oh, the ultimate trap of a person, when are we a slave? A person is a slave to the desires. If you got anything that we're addicted to, you drink coffee? No, you drink green tea. Yeah, shkayach. Yeah, you drink. What do you call it? You drink. What's with the green tea, guys? A little self-respect. What?
It's not green tea. It's matcha.
Matcha's green tea.
Yeah. Two sides of a bad coin. Whatever, anything that a person can't break free of means that you're a slave to it. You're addicted to coffee, you're addicted to nicotine, you're addicted to drug. Whatever a person's addicted, can be addicted to gambling. Whatever it is that a person is slave to, the only person who's truly free of various desires, the only person who's free is a person who has studied Torah, because Torah is what barasi yetzer hara. I created the evil inclination, barasi Torah tavlin. The Torah is the antidote, or the cure for the antibiotic for the yetzer hara. So the word chorus is read as cherus. You're a free person. Obviously, we're not free. To the contrary, most people would look at Torah Jews and say, you're not free at all. I got to be at Minyan at 7 o'clock, and I got to be at Kriya Shema by a certain time, and I have to get to Shabbos, and I have to know, I don't know freedom at all. That's why, in America, it starts with the Bill of Rights. In America, there's a bill, right? That's the first thing, a Bill of Rights. I don't know what they got in England. But in America, they don't. You have a constitution? What?
No written one.
Not a written one. We do it the way we've always done it, right? In America, they got a Bill of Rights. In Torah, you have a Bill of Obligations. No rights. In America, it's freedom of speech. Freedom of speech in America. There's no freedom of speech in Torah. If anything, speech is very limited. You can't speak lashon hara in America. You have freedom of speech. You can say what you want as long as you haven't made up a story. You can say whatever you want about somebody. Say anything negative you want, and as long as you haven't made it up, you won't get sued. And it's perfectly legal. You could besmirch anybody that you want anytime you want. Torah, you can't do that. You're not allowed to say things. You're not allowed to speak lashon hara. You're not allowed to insult people. You can't hurt people's feelings. You can't lie. There's no freedom of speech in Torah. So what does it mean we're free? We are free from our desires to the degree that a person gets free from their desires. We still are enslaved a little bit to certain things. Everybody's got their thing. But there's nobody who's got the potential for taking control of themselves like a person who learns Torah. If you take control of yourself, so then you're a free person. Okay, now watch this. Right, this is the idea of what's happening here. This applies to many people. It applies very much to parents as well, but it applies to everybody. Vayishma Yoshua es kol ha'am bereo. Yoshua is by the mountain with Moshe Rabbeinu. And they hear all sort of, they hear the people are making noise. Vayomer el Moshe kol milchama b'machane. Now in pasuk where it says over here, he hears the people. How's the art scroll? Yoshua heard the sound of the people in its shouting. Now you remember the people in the camp, they had sat down to eat and drink and letzachek. They were getting involved in all sorts of shenanigans. So Yoshua hears noise coming. Now imagine you hear noise coming from a fraternity house. If you hear noise coming from a fraternity house, what kind of noise is it going to be? Or you walk by a club, there's a certain type of noise that you hear. So Yoshua hears the noise. So there's a remarkable, what do you think is going on there? They're partying, what we call nowadays, they're partying. But it's remarkable because the Targum Yonasan says, on the side, Unkelus. Look at Unkelus on the side. Top line of Unkelus. Everybody see if you don't. It's the Targum, the Aramaic Targum, the Aramaic translation. Ushma Yoshua Yaskol Amma. Yoshua heard the sound of the voice. Kad biyavin. The word biyavin means they were lamenting. It's a word that's associated with people who what's that? Sorrow. V'amar l'Moshe kol krov mashris. I hear sound of battle in the camp. So the standard meaning of bireo means, look at Rashi, top line of Rashi. Bireo, bihario. Right column of Rashi, top line. Shahayu meriyim, they were making noise. Usmechim, they were happy. V'tzochakim, and they were laughing. They were having a good time. So why does Unkelus translate? Unkelus translates it as they were lamenting. What's a synonym for lamenting? I don't know what the word is. What synonym? But it's very strange. Rashi says they were rejoicing, they're singing, they're happy, and Unkelus says they're lamenting. So there's an interesting story. There's a guy living in South Africa who was, that's why he was lamenting, yeah. And there was a guy, don't start, Shia. There was a guy living in South Africa who was a graduate. He was an alumnus of the Slobodka Yeshiva, the famous Slobodka Yeshiva in Europe. And he became completely secular. And he was living in South Africa, but he was very wealthy. And he used to give a lot of money to yeshivas. Now we're going back a long time ago, before the war. And he was living in South Africa. He used to give a lot of money. He had a reputation. He gave a lot of money to yeshivas. The yeshivas in Europe, he used to give them a lot of money. So the main fundraiser from the Slobodka Yeshiva heard about this guy and is very excited because this guy not only gives money to yeshivas, he's an alumnus of Slobodka. So he gets, he travels to South Africa, however they used to travel in those days, and he finds this guy. And he says to the guy, "Hi, I'm a representative of Slobodka Yeshiva." The guy says, "I'm not giving you a dime." He says, "But I heard you give money to Yeshiva." He says, "I do. I give a lot of money to Yeshivas. I'm not giving you a dime." He said, "Why not?" He said, "Because Slobodka ruined my life. He says, how did Slobodka ruin your life? He says, because I'm completely secular. I do every Avera in the book. And I can never enjoy it because of what I studied or was taught in Slobodka. And every time I do an Avera, I have pangs of conscience because of Slobodka. So Slobodka ruined my life. You're not getting any money from me. So your commentaries say, that's what Uncle is saying. Here they are dancing and having a great time. But somewhere deep down in your heart of hearts, you know that that's really not what you're supposed to be doing. And it's when you leave the house and your wife is stuck with the kids and you go out with the boys and you're having a great time, and somewhere deep down inside you think to yourself, I feel guilty. The truth is I don't feel guilty, I feel fear. Right? It's a completely different emotion. But I feel there's a certain guilt. You understand I really shouldn't be doing this. So the people, now watch this give and take between Moshe and Yoshua. He says, I hear the sounds of war. Vayomer, Moshe says back to him, second line from the top. Ein kol anos gevura. That is not the sound of victors who are yelling. They're yelling because we won. Ve'ein kol anos chalusha. That's not the sound of the defeated who are crying in defeat. There's no fighting going on there. Kol anos anochi shomea. It is simply a sound of yelling. And what Moshe Rabbeinu is saying to Yeshua is, listen, you're going to be the leader of the Jewish people. When you hear a sound coming from the people, a leader needs to know how to distinguish what that sound means. What is that sound? Because you need to know when you hear, and it doesn't have to be a physical yelling. You need to know what is going on in the minds, what's going on in a rabbi of a shul. A rabbi of a shul needs to hear the sound, the ring and the rhythm of the congregation. Should I bring up the idea of building a new wing for our shul right now? Should I tell the people that I expect them to engage in a higher level of Torah devotion? You need to know who you're dealing with over here. You need to be able to get your finger on the pulse and figure out what is the sound that I'm hearing right now? Number one. And therefore Moshe says, listen, by the way, you know where this comes up? Parents, you could hear your kids playing in the back room. The kids are playing nicely. And remember, there was always that sound. There was a pitch that changes, and it went from active to wild. You hear that sound. There's active and there's wild, and it changed. There was a change in tone, and you hear it. You get used to it as a parent. There was also that active. There's the laughter of the kids, right? There's laughter, and there's playful laughter, and that's what my wife said. There's naughty laughter. There's a certain type of laughter where some kid pulled some other kid's pants down. Yeah, you know that's what's going on. Little kids in a room and they're laughing, and you can hear the ring, you hear the change, and you have to get used to it. And as a person in life, you have to hear the people that you're dealing with. You have to hear the sound of these people. Where's it really coming from? Where's this person, either an individual or a group? You're going to be the leader. You've got to be able to make that distinguish that. Number one. Number two is a bigger question. Why are they whooping it up at the Egel? This is very, very interesting insight, because it's so true in our day and age. Why are they making so much noise? All this noise at the Golden Calf. There's a lot of noise. How come there's so much noise, singing and dancing? I don't know. There's with a drum beat in the background. Why? What's with all the noise? What's with all the noise? The answer is, according to one of the Parsha, when you're trying to interest somebody in Yiddishkeit. Let's say you have a friend and he asks you what you're doing in yeshiva, right? What would you do? What would you do to try to explain it to him? You sit down with him, you start talking. What happens when you want to get somebody involved in something that they shouldn't really be involved with? You go into a club and you get to drinking, and there's always a beat in the background, and there's a lot of noise, because the noise prevents rational thought. If anybody would think about this rationally, hey guys, can we stop for a second and think about this? Do you really think we should be worshiping a golden calf right now? But once you start with the noise, why, I don't want to interfere. Let's block out any sort of rational thought. And everything in life, we'll get to Purim in a second, everything in life is like that. The entire society around us is doing that. There's a lot of noise about money. There's a lot of noise about entertainment. The society is making noise. It blocks out rational thought. Anybody with his head screwed on straight takes a look and says, this cannot be the purpose of life. So how do you get caught up in it? How do you get caught up in the rat race? Because the noise around us, it should be bigger and better, the advertising agencies, and it's got to be a new car. All the examples you can think of, that's the noise of the ego. That's the golden calf. That's the noise that's being made. So a person needs to work, and a person needs to support his family. That yes, but to get caught up in it. So how did you get caught up? It's the noise. He's making there's a lot of noise over here. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? Moshe gets close to the camp. He sees the golden calf and he sees the circles, the dancing. You dance in a circle. Vayichar af Moshe. Moshe gets angry. Vayashlech miyada v'saluchos. He throws down the luchos. Vayashaberos amtachazar. He breaks them at the base of the mountain. Moshe throws down the luchos. Andrew, you have them here?
Oh, I can go.
No. Okay, well, bring it on Sunday. What do you call it? On Monday. Andrew made a model of the luchos. Right. We be careful. We don't want to break them. What do you call? Moshe Rabbeinu gets angry and he throws down the luchos and he breaks the luchos. That's what now? There are 2 things that happen here. 3 things happen here. First of all, Hashem just told Moshe that the Jewish people were doing something wrong. He told them first. So why does Moshe wait until he comes down and he sees it and then he breaks the luchos? Why didn't he break them on the spot? Why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu break the luchos on the spot? Why do you have to wait? Hashem told him. You don't rely on Hashem?
He wanted them to see it.
What's that?
He wanted them to see
He wanted the Jewish people to see it. Okay, so that, I don't know if they saw it. I don't know if it says that they saw it. What it does say is that the judge has to see things on his own. Hashem's reliable. Hashem told you can rely on Hashem. Yet a judge has, now that I see it on my own, but what was that Moshe Rabbeinu saw? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? That broke the luchos back. Yeah. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? He says he saw the golden calf, umecholos, and he saw them dancing. It's one thing if they're doing something wrong and they look like they might, there might be room over here to repent, or there might be, where the people are already, they're living it up while they're doing the Aveira. At that point, we're at the point of no return. So he breaks the luchos. And the obvious question becomes, what'd you break them for? I put them aside, and maybe later the people will do tshuva, and then what are you going to go break them for? What do you have to smash the luchos for? What's that? They don't deserve them. So you have to smash them? So let's see. Let's say that, what do you say, Binyamin?
I heard somewhere, although I don't know if it was related to the luchos, but the idea was just that before the Egel, they achieved this level of spirituality and that they were able to understand the Torah in another sense. But after the Egel, he said they cannot receive this version of the Torah.
Correct. Now, what it is? Holy cow! That's how big they were.
Yeah.
Each one.
Yes.
Andrew says that this is the size of each one of the luchos. That's interesting because we always think of them as being little.
Tablets.
Wow.
6 by 6 by 3 tefachim, according to Hadnish, that's 9.6 centimeters per tefachim.
6 by 6 tefachim. A tefach is 4 inches.
Hadnish says 9.6 centimeters, which is probably 4 inches, but.
Okay, 4 inches.
Yeah.
So you 6 by 6, 24 inches across.
22.
Wow, nobody thinks that. And they're made of. And they're,
One of them.
11 inches deep.
is that the original?
Yeah.
I was wondering where it went. No, it can't be because they were broken. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing because I always think of them as, the little in the shuls, they always show them as rounded on top. We don't have a source that says they were rounded. Somebody once said the reason they do that, they make them rounded at the top, is to make it look like a heart. And then it's the Torah.
They would have weighed 20 kilograms, or about 75 pounds each.
75 pounds each. And Moshe Rabbeinu is carrying them. Well, we don't know. Samparino is very heavy.
If it's sapphire, did the math. It's about 75.
I don't know if it's sapphire. I don't know if it's sapphire. Samparino is considered a very, very heavy, heavy stone. And Moshe Rabbeinu is carrying them now, and now he smashes them. So the first question is, why not wait? Maybe they'll do tshuva, maybe we'll... The answer is, first of all, if this is what's required right now, that for these people, they deserve to... Let's say Moshe Rabbeinu looked at the situation and said, these people, right now, the luchos need to be smashed. At that point, yeah, but maybe they'll do tshuva, and then we'll have the luchos for them. Wouldn't that be a good thing for them? At that point, if that's what has to be done, that's what has to be done. We do not have the right to start negotiating with Torah. Well, maybe if we'll relax some of the laws over here because down the line it might be beneficial. That was the mistake of the conservative movement. The conservative movement, the first thing they did was, in order for people to stay close to Judaism, will allow them to drive to shul on Friday night. So you're relaxing the laws of the Torah. It's not our Torah to relax. Do you know that the Gemara says, you want to hear, listen to this one. You're not going to believe me. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, there was a man who became lovesick. He saw a girl, had a crush on her, was infatuated with her. And the doctors said the only cure for him is that they have to live together. That's the only cure. And he was in a life-threatening situation. He was dying of love. Most people get killed by love. He was dying of love. And he was lovesick. And the doctor said he's got to live with her or otherwise he's going to die. And the Chachamim said, they asked Chacham, what's the halacha? They said, let him die. So the doctor said, well, you know what? All he has to do is look at her. Let her stand in front of him and look at her. The doctors kind of downgraded pretty quickly over there. I'm not sure how reliable the doctors were. All he's got to do is look at her. The Chacham said, let him die. So the doctor said, you know what? All she has to do is she has to stand on the other side of the fence, and all he has to do is talk to her. That'll be the cure. He'll talk to her. He'll hear her voice. That'll cure him That'll cure him. Doctor, let him die, right? So Gemara says, why? What's the issue over here? Why so severe? Because Jewish girls are not hefker. Jewish girls are not hefker. We're not going to make them, there's everybody, they're free. It's a free for all on Jewish girls. So Gemara says, let them die. Why? Well, listen, the guy's life it's a life-threatening situation. Yeah, but the halacha is that he has to die, therefore he has to die. And it's not our Torah to negotiate. We're not allowed to go and start compromising for the sake of the good of the cause. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm going to throw down the luchos. I'm going to break them. What happened when he broke the luchos? Guys, you find Gemara difficult? True. Honestly, you find Gemara difficult? If you don't say yes, then you're not being honest. Gemara is difficult. You find it difficult to remember? You read one piece of Gemara, and it's amazing how quickly I forget it. It's amazing how difficult it is to remember anyway. Do you know that before Moshe broke the luchos, we would have learned Torah and remembered it a first time? We would all have had a photographic memory. Can you think of that? And Binyamin's thinking so what did he have to break them for? That's what he said. What did you go and break them for? Couldn't you come up with some other punishment? And the answer is that once the luchos were broken, Torah study became challenging and difficult. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu do that? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu break the luchos? Why did he have to go and break the luchos? Why did he decide this is what needs to be done? He knew the luchos need to be broken. And that he knew that it's going to cause a situation where when we learn Torah, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult, we're going to have to do it under difficult circumstances with the government cutting funding and learning a kollel, living like a mouse, and with all the difficulties, And on top of that all, it's going to be easy to forget. The Gemara says that Torah is as difficult to acquire as gold utensils, and it's as easy to lose as glass utensils. Why did we need that? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu feel that way? What do you say, Benjamin?
Maybe it was like a form of an internal teshuvah for Klal Yisrael forever.
Okay. Could be. Possible idea. What do you say?
In order to trust them that when they come back that they're sincere, if it was so hard to learn Torah, then
That's the proof that it's a very interesting idea. What do you say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it would separate the people who really want to learn and study.
Oh, good. A very interesting idea. If you really, this shows if you really mean it. It shows if you really mean it. What do you say, Benny?
I think it seems the Egel is of. We were talking about that they thought they lost their emissary to God, and they all wanted to replace that emissary, likely I think on an individual level. That they all each needed. They felt that they can't have that direct connection with God. Each person.
Excellent. One of the commentaries said that they wanted a physical symbol, therefore they lose the physical symbol. They wanted a physical symbol, which was the golden calf, therefore they lose the one existing physical symbol that came straight from God. So now that we no longer have you don't deserve to have a physical symbol. But what do you say?
The way we're naturally designed is that we only really appreciate what we work for.
What about before the luchos were broken? So why? That's true.
This is who we are now. So
Okay, good. That's true. We only appreciate what we work for. The truth is not. I appreciate even more when I don't have to work for it. But at a certain level, we definitely appreciate it. That's true.
After 3 days, I go crazy.
So Moshe Rabbeinu says, look, before they were broken, the Jewish people were on a high enough level, they would learn Torah, but they would still behave themselves. Now, what's going to happen? I see what they're capable of. They're capable of getting involved with the golden calf. So what's going to happen? You're going to learn Torah. Then what are you going to do in your spare time? What are you going to do with your spare time? You know what? Better to give you a Torah that you now have to work on and constantly work on Torah so that you have something to do all the time. Because if you learn Torah, remember Torah, and now you have free time. So what are you going to do with your free time? And I always say, what you do with your discretion, this applies to us. What we do with our discretionary time is really one of the things that defines who we are. What are we doing? What do we do when we're not doing what we have to do? That really defines the person. When a person has some time, I got some free time. So the first thing is, that defines who I am. Every spare moment, I say, people, walk out, it's unbelievable. I'm riding past a bus stop. 5 teenagers are sitting there, obviously buddies, and 5 teenagers, not one of them is talking to the other one. They're all sitting there like this, which is probably a good thing, because if the 5 were talking, who knows what they would be planning to do and destroy. But at the end of the day, that determines what you are. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? Now you're going to spend your time learning Torah, because now you're going to have no choice. But it's even more than that. You see, the Gemara says there are certain things that were built in, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu built into the world. One of them is that the deceased, somebody who dies, is forgotten. Shehames mishtakeach min halev. There is a decree, there's a decree, shehames mishtakeach min halev. Somebody who dies in a family, people forget him. Now, it doesn't mean you forget him totally. You remember who your grandfather was. But the pain of the death, with time, the pain dissipates. You didn't forget the person, but it does leave the heart, the original pain. Slowly but surely the pain dissipates. Now, at the time before they did the golden calf, what level did the Jewish people reach? They reached the level of Adam Harishon before the Chet. They reached the level of Adam Harishon before the original sin, which means there would have been no more death in the world. If there's no more death in the world, there's no need for forgetfulness. At the point that they did the golden calf, now what's come back to the world? Death comes back to the world. Moshe Rabbeinu says, listen, we have to reinstate the concept of forgetfulness, because if people don't have forgetfulness, yet there's death in the world, a person wouldn't be able to survive it. A person wouldn't be able to get on with their life, because they'd be always in a state of, in a state of grief. So Moshe Rabbeinu breaks the luchos to bring back forgetfulness. Well, that goes across the board. It's forgetfulness of things we should forget about, but it's also forgetfulness of Torah. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu does it because we understand we are now in there's a renewed state now, which is that there's death in the world. If there's death in the world, then we have to have a situation where we're going to be able to forget it. So Moshe Rabbeinu breaks the luchos. Yeah.
Is there a reason Moshe was punished in with regard to the episode of hitting the rock when he acted beyond his powers and was angry, whereas here, where we have a similar situation?
Excellent question. Excellent question. Wait, it's like this. Moshe Rabbeinu changed God's orders at the rock. There he was given a specific order. The order was speak to the rock, and he changed it. He veered off the ark. Here he wasn't given an order, and as a matter of fact, the Gemara says God ratified this. Asher shibarta yishar kochacha sheshibarta. God ratified what Moshe Rabbeinu did. That means Moshe Rabbeinu took the initiative over here. He was never told, give the Jewish people the luchos hold as a command. He was given the luchos, given to the Jewish people. So he didn't veer off of God's command. To the contrary, he intuited what the right thing to do is, and God gave him a yasher koach. That's what, by the way, when people say shkoyach, shkoyach, right? Shkoyach is just the frum way of saying yishar kochacha. Yishar kochacha is means your strength should be straight and strong. But nobody says Yishar Kochacha, except one guy that I know who says Yishar Kochacha, and it sounds weird. Because if you really want to be Jewish, you say Shkoyach, right? Try to remember what it is that it means. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu he's actually given the thumbs up on this. Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem says, you did the right thing. That's exactly what I would have wanted. I would have wanted those locally broken. Yeah, hear me.
When Rabbi said about the story in the Gemara about someone being left sick and they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
From where do we know like certain things that we do break, like Shabbos? If someone's sick, we would.
Also, the Gemara. The Gemara says that for Shabbos you break, but the Gemara says that you break Shabbos for somebody who's life-threatening, because better to break one Shabbos and he'll keep more Shabbos. But that's only because the Gemara. It's a very excellent question. It's only because Chazal say that's what the Torah says you do that. The Chai Bahem, you have to live by the Torah. But there's a limitation on living by the Torah, because you have to give up your life to not worship idols. You have to give up your life to not kill somebody else. You have to give up your life to not commit immorality. And the Chachamim are saying this is a branch of immorality. Remember I told you the story about the couple on the ski lift? Never told you the story of the couple on the ski lift? The couple was engaged, not halachically engaged, not a me'uresas, socially engaged. You know, Reuven and Leah, they're engaged, and they decided to go for they went on a ski lift. They decided to go out to skiing on one of their dates. So they were up on the ski lift. Remember this? No. They were up on the ski lift. The ski lift, they were in the resort, and the ski lift malfunctioned. And they were stuck dangling up in the air, and they started calling for help. But it was late in the afternoon, and everybody had left the resort already. So at a certain point, they realize they have a problem of yichud, which is a prohibited seclusion. They're not married. There's a guy and a girl, and they're not allowed to be alone in a secluded area. Right? It's a problem. So the girl jumped out of the ski lift and ended up breaking both her legs. I know what you're wondering, Aaron. I know. Why didn't he jump? Right? Yeah. Why did she jump? Why did he jump? Well, we don't know that she jumped. She may have been pushed. The answer is the real answer. What I really think: women are much more conscientious than men when it comes to Yiddishkeit. The men know all the leniencies. The women are machmir. I can imagine that conversation on the ski lift. He says, I could just hear her say, Chaim, I think we have a problem here. Listen, Bela, my rabbi said I could be lenient. Bela! And down she goes. So the question came up: is that situation of yichud? Is that a situation of that you have to give up your life for it or not? Even though it's rabbinic, it's a rabbinic thing, and there are poskim that say yes. Because anything in the area of immorality is Yehorig V'Yavor. It's not only the one act of actual immorality, it could be all of the accoutrements, everything surrounding it. Listen, I was in America just now, and I was staying at somebody's house. Derek. I was staying, I'm sure, or the Golden Calf. I'm not sure which one it was. So I was in America just now. And I went off to shul in the morning. I was staying by this couple. I went off to shul in the morning, a family. And by the time as soon as I came back to the house, about an hour later, and I knew he had the code, and I opened the door, and there's a non-Jewish cleaning lady in the living room. And I said, are the Plonies home? Is anybody home? And she said to me, no. They're driving carpool, taking the kids to school, that sort of thing. And she said, no. So I didn't even close the door. I just did Oseh Shalom Bimromov. I backed out. I just took a few steps back, and I said, and I'll go back. And I just walked back to the shul, and I waited till I figured until they came home. So then I asked somebody, what do you do in this situation? We don't have cleaning help in the house, right? I am the cleaning help in the house. If you believe that, you believe anything. And so I asked, the halacha is because you could have very easily a problem of yichud here, where you have cleaning help in the house. So so one of the ways that a man is allowed to be alone in the house with the cleaning help is if there's something called a mirsas, there's some sort of intimidation, or she's nervous. That means anybody could walk in at any time. You have to give somebody your address who has access to the house and could come in at any time. And that way, you aren't going to get involved in hanky-panky because you're nervous somebody's going to walk in. The problem that exists about what if she's in the house alone, and what if she could trafe up your dishes and trafe up your food? And so there also has to be this idea that somebody could come in at any time, and therefore she's otherwise you could run into serious halachic issues. They're in serious halachic issues. So that's what do you call it? That's how did we get onto that? What did you ask? How did we get onto the
Shabbos about how do we?
Oh, right. So and when it comes to immorality, so then it could be a Yahari Gal Yavar situation. Okay. All right, we have to mincha. Ooh, it's late.